Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to start just by thanking you for holding this important hearing and thanking all the witnesses for joining us today. As we discuss the efforts we've undertaken to ensure a woman's right to abortion care, it's not lost on me that this fight is actually larger than abortion care alone. As we work to address the unprecedented actions taken by the far-right wing of the Supreme Court, it's not lost on us that as they're working to strip away basic rights, they're also failing to hold themselves accountable for some common sense ethical standards. So there's a lot going on here. I look forward to working with the chair to explore those greater issues as well, to make sure that we can restore some public confidence into a co-equal, they claim to be completely independent, but is a co-equal branch of government as we work to protect the rights and protections that so many Americans hold dear. Now, my first question deals with sort of the separation of powers and role of the courts question. You know, it's clear that one troubling aspect of the recent Fifth Circuit decision, which many scholars and even fellow judges found legally unsound, was its attempt to intrude on a decades-old public safety-driven decision by the FDA. Now, the FDA, we all know who the FDA is and what the FDA does, but the FDA is the agency that Congress has entrusted with making scientific decisions relating to our health and safety. So when the FDA tests and approves a medication for use, people rely on that. They have trust in the testing and approval process. And so when activist judges take it upon themselves to overstep the separation of powers and intrude on the FDA's decision-making authority, the authority entrusted in it by Congress, it leaves science no longer to just the scientists. And Senator Tillis is talking about, I don't want doctors to practice law unless they have a law degree. He doesn't want lawyers to practice medicine unless they have the medical degree. I don't want justices making scientific decisions unless they have that education expertise. Dr. Verma, simple yes or no question. Is regulated medical abortion in the United States safe?
Yes, absolutely.
So can you describe then the risks to patients when judges rather than scientists are making decisions about medicines that Americans rely on?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. So we know based on decades of data that medication abortion is incredibly safe and effective. By regulating a medication or taking a medication off the market that we know is safe and effective, we limit patients' ability to get the care that they need. That includes care for people that need abortions and for miscarriage management. Mifepristone is used very safely and effectively for management of miscarriages and shortens the amount of time it takes someone to pass a pregnancy. A lot of people experiencing miscarriages are already going through a traumatic event, and so to be able to offer them the most effective treatment option is incredibly important.
Okay. Thank you. Now, despite the lack of attention that it gets in the press coverage, we know that abortions are sometimes necessary to stabilize a woman's condition, right? When a woman's health or life is in danger, that becomes part of the conversation. It should be more of the conversation than it is in our national discourse. Yet it seems like so many states, post-Dobbs, are passing laws that are creating, either unintentionally or sometimes very intentionally, conflicting laws leading to confusion and impossible decisions to make on a moment's notice. And Exhibit A is your testimony, Ms. Zarowski. So first of all, let me thank you for being here. Thank you for your courage and your bravery to share your experience. Some people in the legal world say, well, when there's a conflict between state and federal law, well, there's a process for hashing that out through the courts. That takes a long time. In the meantime, we have women showing up in hospitals and emergency rooms that can't afford to wait, and you described your experience from the medical perspective. Just wondering if you could take a minute to share what kind of mental anguish that experience was like in while you were in the ICU and since then, and if you have a specific message for women living in states that are denied abortion care or access to the care that they need, but live in a state that's clamping down on access and options for them.
Absolutely, and thank you for the opportunity. We've heard a lot today about the mental trauma and the negative, harmful effects on a person's psychological well-being after they have an abortion, supposedly. And I'm curious why that's not relevant for me as well, because I wasn't permitted to have an abortion, and the trauma and the PTSD and the depression that I have dealt with in the 8 months since this happened to me is paralyzing. On top of that, I'm still struggling to have children, and I wanted to address my senators, Cruz and Cornyn, who neither of whom regrettably are in the room right now, but I would like for them to know that what happened to me, I think most people in this room would agree, was horrific. But it's a direct result of the policies that they support. I nearly died on their watch. And furthermore, as a result of what happened to me, I may have been robbed of the opportunity to have children in the future. And it's because of the policies that they support. What happened to me was horrible, but I am one of many. And quite frankly, I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I have a husband that could take me to the hospital. I don't have other children that I had to worry about finding health care for. I have a job that was understanding that allowed me to grieve for 3 days as I waited to almost die. What about all of the women that don't have those same opportunities, that don't have access to health care, that don't have health insurance, that don't have a partner? What about them?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Senator
Chair.